Hey, Lamar, good to see you again. Hope your vacation's
Hey,
going well.
I wouldn't say it's a vacation, but I am getting things done. That's good.
Yeah, me too. Well, friends, as you know, we're taking a little bit of a break in the month of August, and we are replaying a couple of our, dare we say, our greatest hits of
Yes.
2026. I mean, these were two of the shows that more people tuned into, listened to, watched than any others. And the last time you heard from Lamar's friend, Joel Kaufman. This time, well, nothing quite as stimulating, perhaps, but
It's us.
it's us. It's just us, and we're talking about the fact that people have come up to us and just said, "Hey, but what can I do about what's happening right
Right.
now?" Is that right,
Right.
Lamar? Is that what we were talking
Absolutely.
about?
And we have some ideas that we wanted to share with you about what you can do.
Yep.
And then later when we come back here, we're going to talk about some of the things that you and I have done.
Yes.
Not this episode, but
Not
we
this
will
episode.
soon after we return.
Yeah. And so, like the last time, this is an important podcast related to what's coming up later this fall. So please watch and listen again if you like, and then send it out to 10 other people.
10.
You got it?
10 people.
All right.
All right.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Hi, this is Lamar, and you're listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. A third space is a term that refers to a safe space for people to come together for respectful dialogue in a spirit of listening, sharing, and learning. In this podcast, we explore what it means to have third space conversations, and we try to model them. If you like what you hear in this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, share it, and of course, like it. The more people join us, the quicker we get to third space as a society. Now let's get to third space today.
Hey there, Lamar. How goes it today?
Hey, Tom. It goes well in Kansas. How's it going in Maryland?
Slowly. Very slowly.
Slowly?
Yeah. We're still kind of slowly digging out from the storm. I mean, I used to say when I lived in Virginia that the problem with living in Virginia in a snowstorm is that they only had one snow plow and it only had three wheels.
Yeah.
I think Maryland has two three-wheel snow plows. I don't know.
Well, I will tell you that we've had warmish weather here, and our snow is pretty well melted. So,
Well, that's not right.
there's a few drifts here and there, but yeah.
Well, that's okay. We'll grant that one to you. But oh gosh.
So, what have you been up to these days?
Well, I've been so this week we have a men's dinner group that has started. We go someplace and I'm not saying that this is very male like. I'm not trying to genderfy this or anything like this, except that it seems like almost every place we go has a lot of hamburgers. But it's a lot of fun. There's a guy locally who has put the group together, and once a month we get together. We go out and we eat and just chat, and it was
good.
really nice because one of the guys, that was with us. He's a regular listener to this podcast, and he expressed really clear appreciation for the podcast we did on gaslighting. And I thought that was
Good.
I thought that was really nice. So I wanted to make sure I passed that on to you. So you knew that.
Well, thank you. It's good to hear. That was an interesting podcast, which I think we're going to be referring back to as we do some Snope stuff here and there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think so
yeah.
too. And actually that wasn't the only time we got feedback on that one that I got feedback. I also got a really nice note from somebody about that particular podcast. And so I just want to give a shout out to them and say thank you for doing that. We enjoyed doing that podcast. It was really nice to hear that seemed to strike a chord with people. What about you? What's going on with you right now?
Well, I've had an interesting week. So
Okay. I'll
Monday
get the
of
sound
the-
effects ready.
So Monday of this week, have you ever had one of those days where it's like, I don't want to do the things I have scheduled? And so I found myself in the midst of kind of a boredom, self-induced boredom. and,
Oh,
and I went down some rabbit trails.
okay.
The dangerous part of that is, particularly in social media, if you express your boredom, which I did. And I posted something which is kind of interesting, kind of not. It was like, you remember when you could ring a number, call a number, and get the time and temperature?
Well, I think I saw this post.
Yeah. It was like, oh, if I could pull that one back. But I got a lot of people saying, oh yeah, they just took that away in our town. And
So now what was it? You found the time and temperature number and you called it?
Yeah, I did. It for our area, which is basically a list of advertisements before it gets to the time and temperature. And on top of that, it'll give you a weather forecast a little bit more, but it's like, obviously, why do we need to do this these days, right?
Yeah.
But my boredom started because I had watched a historical piece on a train accident in Ohio early on that was caused because the watchmen at these two different stations had different times on their watches, by like 5 to 7 minutes difference, and because of that, the train tracks didn't get switched, and there's this colossal train wreck, which led to a standardized time across the U.S.
Oh,
And it's like, oh, well, that's interesting, because I remember when we used to call this time and temperature, and we would use that to set our watches and our clocks. Okay, so you can see I went down a rabbit hole really far.
wow. And I fight. You started off by asking, have you ever had those days when you just don't want to do what you need to do, right? Or something of that. That's like me every day. Okay. It's like, what can I do to procrastinate to avoid doing what I need to do? But I just want to say, that was monumental, Lamar. I mean, you're
That was not just a rabbit hole. That was a cave.
That was a cave
network.
full of rabbits.
Yeah. Oh, anyway.
Oh, but we have those days, right? We do.
My kids, were doing this back texting with each other, and included me. Is first started out by saying, "What's wrong with Dad?" And then it got to be, "Is he drinking today?"
Oh my gosh, that's really good. But yeah, I do remember seeing that text, and that posting, and I did notice you had quite a number of comments.
I did.
I didn't think I would add to them though.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, I thought
that's how my week started. However, it suddenly went 90 miles an hour after that. I've had I got a commission piece, a photography commission piece I had to start working on. I got right away that morning, and so that's taken a lot of time. And I'm going to be moving studios, and and so that project is kind of well underway now. So, suddenly everything came into focus, and I got back on it. But boy.
Well, and just to be clear, you're not talking about your palatial sound studio where you record.
No, I'm talking my photography studio. Yes.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just went.
Yeah,
For people that are following us closer than they probably should, we'll just clarify that piece. But oh my, well, we have both talked about recently, when we've not been actually recording, but as we've been in prep, that we are hearing something similar from folks. The cool thing is that we are getting we're seeing growth in our followers, growth in the number of followers, which is so cool. And we're hearing from more people, which is really nice. But there's kind of a common refrain among some of them, isn't there?
There is, and it has to do with kind of what's going on in the world around us, what's going on in our country. It's political, but yet it's beyond being political. It's it's almost this sense of, well, what can we do? How can we respond? And there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of fear that people are expressing to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I don't want to say it's a unique or unusual fear. Because I think that when one political perspective is in power, the other feels a heightened sense of anxiety and fear. And although I heard something this week that I thought was just really compelling, that made me stop and think. I was listening to a podcast, and they're interviewing this black author, and he said, he says, what I want to say to people out there is that the anxiety and the fear and all of that you're feeling right now, it is what many of us who are black have been feeling for generations.
I've heard this as well. Yeah.
And I thought, wow. Yeah. I mean, that was really a thought-provoking piece. And one that really induced for me, I think, a deeper sense of empathy. And it's like, oh, okay. So that's what this feels like for many people. And again, I don't think it's specific to any political party. I think it is part of what happens when your side, if you will, is not in power.
I would agree. And I think it also happens when the risks get bigger.
Yes.
When we see things happening that we haven't seen before, and somehow we're wondering if somehow things are starting to get out of control. And so feeling powerless.
Yeah. And I think that's I think it's safe to say that regardless of which side of the political fence you stand on, that there's pretty widespread agreement that it's feeling like things are getting a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
A lot out of control.
From a lot
for some,
to a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. And so it's really inducing a lot of anxiety for people, and hence I think that question that we are both getting, what can I do about this? I'm just one person, right?
And I think it's a common question in some of the groups that I kind of travel in, which by the way are both sides and everything in between politically. But there's this interesting track that some of these conversations go down. You start talking about situations that have been happening. You would talk about the thing in Minnesota. We could talk about things at the border or down in Florida, whatever you want to focus on, or in your local area. And so you kind of talk about those things. And you talk about, well, are we having to wait until it's, the time for the elections? Well, of course, those are things we need to pay attention to. But then it goes down an interesting road. It's like, well, my voice isn't even counted. The electoral college thing, they get kind of go down that trail. And eventually it's like, I guess I just need to move to Canada. And I was like, wow, I've heard that so often. Unfortunately, I've heard that so often with people who have really gone down this road of feeling like it's hopeless and I have to leave. First of all, I'm saying, I don't think Canada wants us.
No, they don't want people our age.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
just going
honestly,
to
we're just
drain
going
their social
to.
system.
That's right.
But I think what that speaks to though is this level of throwing up our hands and saying there's nothing we can do. We just need to leave.
Yeah. So we've been kind of sitting with this one for a little bit.
We have.
Yeah.
We're
I
not
got to
sure
ask,
we wanted to go down this road, but yeah.
is Jake in there with you?
Jake is giving me a hard time right now.
I see a tail going like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, tell Jake hello for me. So,
hey, Jake. Yeah. So my dog Jake, by the way, is not a dog. He's not a lap dog.
No.
Really. but he comes up to me and lays his head in my lap. If you can imagine what size that is, his head lays in my lap. Yeah.
Okay.
He's just standing there.
Okay. Oh, Jake. Yeah. So, yeah, I think so. You know, we've been kind of stirring this one around for a little bit and thinking about how do we really begin to answer that for people. And so I guess it's fair to say we're going to give it a shot today.
Well,
we're going to try.
About it.
Yeah, we'll
this
talk
is a table
about
talk
it
today.
Yeah, this is table talk, and we're going to talk a little bit about it and throw some ideas out there and talk about our own personal experience and see if any of this resonates with people. And if anybody has anything to add to it, please send us a note. Or here you go, make a recording, do a 1-minute recording on your iPhone or your Android phone or something on your computer, whatever, and send us
Did you
the
say
file.
iPhone first? Okay, go ahead.
I did because I'm trying to be nice.
Oh, thank you.
But send us an audio file. Might be fun to include that. So yeah. Okay. Oh, we won't use your name unless you demand that we do. And but if you got something to say, that would be great.
But I think this is it's a widespread issue. It's not just new now. Like you said, it kind of depends who's in political power at the time. But I think because it's impacting, people are getting impacted at levels we haven't been impacted for years, long time, that everybody is perking up and taking notice.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should probably confess that we cheated. And
you cheated.
Okay, I cheated. I went to my favorite AI search engine, which is Perplexity, and I basically asked them this question. It's really, yeah. I said, people ask me about the current social and political situation in the United States. What can we do? And so, what can I tell them? And actually, I gave 4 really practical things that, as I read them, I thought, wow, I mean, that speaks to my condition. So we're going to include some of this in the show notes so that you can see some of what we found. But we're just going to kind of take 4 of these points and riff on them a little bit and talk about us personally, how we think about these.
And what was really interesting, Tom, when I looked at what you did.
Well, that sounds very accusatory, man.
Sorry,
I saw what you did.
That. I saw what you did last night. But no, when I looked at this morning, I thought, well, these are things that we've actually talked about at some points.
Yeah.
And so, I think it was helpful to kind of collect these thoughts together and, let's riff on it a little bit. But there's real power in figuring out how to walk through things, how to navigate through things that seem unnavigable. Is that a word?
I don't know, but it sounded really interesting when you said it.
Didn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. Well, so the first thing that it popped up, and I thought that was kind of interesting, the sequence that it put these is it begins very personally and then kind of moves out into the broader community. The first thing it suggested to us is don't give your power away to despair. Don't give your power away to despair. And the point that it makes with this is that when we feel hopeless and helpless. What we're actually doing is that we're giving power to those people that want us to feel numb and quiet. So I'm curious, Lamar, how do you avoid giving away your power to despair?
Well, part of my personality, and you could check with those who have lived around me, is that I tend to react. I tend to push back, and that hasn't always served me well. And and part of this whole experience that we've talked about with our podcast has been learning how to interact with people differently. So for me, I really have a lot of faith in people. I have a lot of faith in our form of government. I have a lot of faith in our local government. And so, years ago when I was working at the college, I had an interview with a regional paper and or news source, and they had asked me, what I think about college students of the day, and I thought they're incredible. I have a lot of faith in them. I think that's one of the things that I'm not willing to give up on when I look at kind of some of the atrocities I think that we have covered and other people have covered even more thoroughly than us. Is I do have faith in people eventually doing the right thing, or people standing up and making a difference, or of a government who will take the challenge and the bull by the horns. I haven't given up on that. Even in the darkest times so far, I think that faith in the goodness of people and the goodness of our country and the goodness of our government, I'm still holding to that.
Yeah.
Some may say I'm foolish. I don't know, but I kind of feel that way. I haven't given up.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I would say it's probably, so I'm a little bit like you, that, I can be a reactor. And so in one sense, as you were talking about that, I thought, well, so the reality is we do this podcast for ourselves, not for anybody else, because we're learning better ways to communicate.
Oh my gosh.
We are. And so, we aren't getting paid to do this. And so we can say, yeah, we're doing this for ourselves pretty much so we can become better at communicating with people, because I need to be better. I still got a long ways to go. But I think that I share with you a general optimism. I have to fight with myself on that a little bit to feel optimistic about where we're going and where we're headed. But I can't help but think of my neighbors, and I know that all of my neighbors here don't think quite the way I do, and that's fine. Some do, some don't. But I have yet to meet somebody that isn't kind and caring. And regardless of our political differences or political views. And I think that is really, really important. And that helps me anchor in some hope rather than despair. The other thing is that I have given greater attention to my inner life since I retired. When I was working, I was traveling a lot. I didn't always get to participate in on a regular basis with in our spiritual community, which is a Quaker community, and my Quaker community is one of those we gather in silence, which is kind of mystifying to people, right? But we gather in silence, and my wife and I attend a 9 a.m. Sunday Quaker meeting on Zoom, which is in silence, which is kind of so kind of cute and odd, because you imagine Zoom as being a place where people are chatting, and stuff like. But we're together in silence and meditative worship for about an hour. That's been very centering for me, and and it's been very helpful to me to slow down, to calm down, and to feel like, you know, good about myself and good about the world, I guess. Yeah. I hope our hope is not misplaced. I don't think it is. I think that we are far more resilient people than we give ourselves credit for. But there are some days that have been a little darker than others, as in this past, during the winter and what we saw happening in Minneapolis. This is dropping in March. This podcast is dropping in March, but we're recording it in early February, and while things are still kind of fast and furious up in Minneapolis. So
Yeah, by this time there could be lots of other things that have shown up. What you said is, I think, and I've been to silent meetings before, that you speak of, and I find those have been very, very, very comforting, but also reflective and an opportunity for some insight. I think that similar to that, what I've found has been taking some time to sit back and just ponder and to think. Um, my life before I got to this stage of my life was fast and furious, and um, and I could spend my whole day posting on the internet, like rabbit holes about trains and time and all of that, or which was not a very productive day, or take some time to really take care of myself. So I think one of what you're speaking of is something we should maybe encourage people to think of as well, and to try to make part of their routine is do some self-care. Take care of, however you want to define that part of yourself that needs maybe more attention. Taking care of your psyche, taking care of your emotions, taking care of your spiritual needs, taking care of however you want to define that, but finding ways to disengage from the noise that's around us, whether it's internet, TV, radio, podcast, whatever it could be, finding that time to disengage and take care of yourself, to help with that perspective and that emotional wellness piece that I think is really important.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm thinking that what I'm recognizing is the role that golf plays in my life. That because it's a time when I can switch off and turn off all of the noise that's out there. It's interesting. With the golf league that I play in, politics very rarely ever comes up, if at all. I mean, it's about, trying to hit that stupid ball as few times as you can on those 18 holes, and that's it. And I know that there's a diversity of thought among people that are in that league, but we just don't go there. It's like it's a respite from the rest of the world and what is happening around us at the moment. Is that part of what speaks to you about doing the RVing?
Oh my goodness, yes. And I can't wait to get back on the road. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I can't wait to get back on the golf course.
Yeah, right. Last year I put on over 7,000 miles RVing, and my wife and I together, and then some of it was by myself. And you meet people in their place, or at a park or a campground, or at a restaurant, or I met some wonderfully interesting people in the mountains of New Mexico, in a little town called Pie Town. I think I've mentioned it before. And you're talking about, you talk about the things that you're experiencing and what you like and how your lives have brought you to this point. And you're not talking about politics. You're not talking about all the atrocities. I mean, you
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
but you don't, because it's so refreshing to not care about what a person's politics are, and to talk about the wonderful pie that's on the shelf. I've got to get back to Pie Town. But yeah, it's a freedom. I will tell you, you run into people. I run into people that it's pretty clear that their life is centered around kind of the political world that's going on. When I was down in Alamogordo, New Mexico, which is right close to the border, that's a big issue. And it wasn't that people didn't talk about it, but they didn't ask me for my opinion.
Mhm.
Oh, and we didn't get into, and I didn't take the opportunity to say, well, here's what I think. I had the opportunity to listen and to try to understand kind of the things that we have been trying to learn on our own podcast here, is how to listen to people who maybe we don't agree with, but maybe we just need to understand why they're as upset or they're feeling or believing what they do. And to me, that's life-giving.
Yep.
I enjoyed
Absolutely.
that very much.
Absolutely.
So yeah, RVing is a big deal for me.
Well, so the second thing that AI told us, Perplexity told us, and again, as you said, we've talked about these things previously, so it was really kind of nice to have this affirmation from Perplexity. Shift your focus to where you have real leverage, and they highlight the fact that that's locally. You know, as much as national politics matters, the reality is that we've got school boards, city councils, local elections, and libraries and zoning boards and all those kinds of things happening locally that we can get involved with. And you know, if we haven't done so yet, we should pick one and just do it. You know, how does this resonate with you in any specific ways?
So actually, it's now over a year, maybe going on 2 years now. I had, based off of our conversation here with some around this kind of topic, excuse me, I had decided I was going to start attending the our city council meeting. It's open to the public, except when they go in executive session, which they should. But so I've started attending whenever I can. And number one, I know we're a small town. I know almost all of these people at some level.
Mhm.
You know, I've worked with some, you know, I've had social interactions with some, and others, you know, I know who they are and I know their family, et cetera, because we're a small town. And I don't go with an agenda. I don't have a thing I need to talk to them about. But I will tell you, if I do have something, I feel a whole lot more comfortable now talking with them because I understand their process. I appreciate what they do. They see that I'm interested. And so I'm taking my time out of my day or my evening to go sit at the meeting for an hour, hour and a half. And the first meeting I went to was actually 15 minutes. You can believe.
Yes, I can.
But that to say that I found that experience to be very enlightening, and I wanted to start going to school board meetings as well. I just honestly, they meet the same night, if you can believe it, one after the other, and I just couldn't quite swing two meetings the same night. But still, I highly recommend people find a place to engage, and to learn about what's going on around them, and to have a voice, because the opportunities are there.
I would
How
like
about
to
you?
I would like to say that I do that, but I would be lying. I don't although I've been tempted at times to go to city council meetings or school board, our school board here, our school board meetings have been pretty interesting. I mean,
You've sent me a couple of articles.
oh yeah.
Yes.
If we were ranking our civic processes by entertainment value, the school board would be far more entertaining than the city council or even the county. We also have a county council, and
Okay,
but it's but there's a lot of really interesting issues going on right now. I mean, we've got issues with the school board. We have a big issue with AI centers. We here in Maryland, and they're south of us. They're wanting to build this gigantic facility for processing, and the people are really concerned about the what that's going to do to electrical rates and to power availability and all that stuff. So there's some really interesting issues that are going on locally, and yes, those all have these tentacles that go out into the national, state, and national as well. But my ability to affect the national is pretty small. It's easier for me to affect locally. The one place where I have chosen to be involved has been as an election judge.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
It piques my interest a bit.
yeah, and in Maryland, election officials are known as election judges. I guess that's because we don't get paid very much at all, just a couple bucks here and there. They give us a fancy title.
Judge.
but yeah, election judge, right? But I would imagine that I'm going to do that probably for the midterm elections again, and maybe the primaries. There's a couple of folks here. Also, one of the guys that I had dinner with the other night at our men's group is also an election judge. He and his spouse. And that's one of the ways I've chosen to be involved, because for two reasons. One is that I feel like I can make a contribution to making sure that the elections that take place are fair and beyond reproach in terms of questioning the fairness of them. I was so impressed with that actually when I was election judge in 2024. Whether the election turned out in the way that I wanted it to or not, the fact of the matter is it was a very fair election.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so impressed to see all of the safeguards that are put in place to see that happen. And I'm so thankful that it's states that have jurisdiction over elections and not the federal government. But the other thing that was important to me as well was just simply witnessing democracy working like that. It was really inspiring, and the wide variety of people that came in and voted, and being able to assist them and help them with that. And even though it is probably the most political event that you could ever attend, as election judges, we don't get to discuss politics. We're not allowed to discuss politics. It's so cool. It's like, it's very political, but it's like we have this bubble around us that we can't actually talk about politics for 12, 14, 16, however many hours we're working that day. They are long days, but it's pretty cool.
But it's about keeping the I use the chain of custody phrase.
Yeah.
But keeping everything as accurate and as secure as possible, because that's important to who we are. It's important to a well-functioning democracy. And so ever since you've done that, I've thought, I know the people locally who do that. I thought, I wonder if there's room on their in their group to volunteer for that. I'd like to try it.
My guess is that there is, because there has been such controversy, whether it's warranted or not. Every legal case has shown that we've had fair elections. But because of that controversy, it's been harder to find people that are willing to serve an election. So my hunch is that if anybody would like to give that experience a try, that their local election board or their county election board would really welcome them as volunteers.
There are other things that happen in our communities that we can participate in as well. There are local boards that are almost always not full, looking for people to serve on those boards. There are events that happen that support, a way of communicating, a way of celebrating a community that we can participate in. I happen to be on a community foundation board that I've really enjoyed my time on that board. And then just a couple of days ago, being on that board, we had a chance to meet with a local college, the local school system, and a local retirement center, sitting down around the table saying, "Hey, what are the issues that we're having, and how can we begin to think about addressing those issues?" It's like, that was enlightening.
Yeah.
And being able to have those conversations, hopefully we'll come up with some strategies.
Well, and you mentioned issues. So another thing to look for are, what are the issues you care about? Is it democracy? Is it climate? Is it gun safety? Is it public schools? Is it racial justice? Is it gender equity? I mean, those are issues that are present in every community. And so if you have a particular issue, seek out people that are working on that and join them, be a part of that group.
Well, that takes us to kind of the third leg of this stool, and that was, invest in relationships. And boy, that's been a crux of what we've been talking about, and also what we've been experiencing. We have, as part of this project that we've been on with this podcast, we have developed relationships with people we never would have met before.
Yeah.
And I think it's been wonderful.
It's been terribly cool.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
But there's a lot of ways to do that. We all have different levels of how comfortable we are in circles of friendships and relationships. And I think I would like to encourage people to think about expanding that just a bit, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but finding ways to connect with people and not assuming someone's going to connect with you, but taking the responsibility to say, okay, I'm going to invite this person out for coffee, or I'm going to go to this group that I know already meets, or something, as to get out of being a passive participant to being an active participant, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, all things considered, if I had my druthers, as we would say in Iowa, if I had my druthers, is druthers actually a word?
I don't know. We had to look it up.
But you've heard that expression, right?
Oh, I have.
If I had my druthers, I have always had to be kind of on in the public, for various work that I've done. But you know what? Give me a comfortable chair and a good movie on Netflix and a bowl of popcorn, and I'm pretty happy.
I get it.
Yeah, I'll just hang out there. So I've really had to say to myself, okay, so how can I put myself out there to engage with people? So I've engaged with people through my golf league. I've engaged more with people through our faith community. And, I debated for the longest time about joining this men's group, for dinner, right? I go, don't I want to go out at night? And, gee whiz. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to go one time. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. And now I'm finding, and it's what's really nice is that some of the neighbors that live next to us, they're like there are 3 other guys piled in the car with me the other night. We took off for this thing. And they were guys that I knew from the neighborhood, which was really nice. And so those things are really, really helpful. And while those 3 guys, by the way, that piled in the car with me, we probably are more alike than we're different when it comes to things political. That's not true of my golf group. And I really value the relationships that I've built with people, and getting to know them, and just, if we want, there's a chant that you see at protests, right? This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks. That's got a nice beat to it, really. But but you know what democracy, I think, really looks like is people sitting down and talking with one another and connecting with one another and having this ongoing relationship that allows them to talk and to connect and to find areas of commonality, even amidst those points where they disagree, right?
Yeah, right.
I think that's what democracy looks like. I really do. So, yeah, the relationships are great.
Yeah. And I think that it's, for some people, it's a lot of risk to reach out and develop
Yes,
relationships.
It is.
Because relationships can sometimes bite you, right? But the upside of building relationships is to have a sense of community where you don't agree about everything, but you do agree that everyone's voice is important.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things that's really cool about that with relationships, when we really get to know one another, some of the differences disappear. And when that other is in danger or needs help, it's easier than to stand up with them and to offer that. I know there's guys that from my golf league, for example, that we would not see eye to eye on everything. But if I were really in trouble, they would be there for me.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah.
So relationships are important. Finding a way to connect and make a difference in your community is important.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of who you are is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself. The last one in this recommendation that we've been kind of speaking to has been, use the tools you have.
Yeah.
You're not without tools, which is,
Yes.
again, why I believe the best can happen in our democracy. I still believe that that's what's going to carry us through, because a democracy gives you tools. And there are ways that we can reach out, that we can vote locally, we can vote nationally. And, the negative side of that, the despair side of that, says, well, my vote doesn't matter. The positive side of that is to say, well, my vote really does make a difference.
Yes.
First of all, it makes a difference to me.
Yeah.
The democratic method locally is one vote. Every vote is counted locally. It's not a representative vote.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so, realize that you do make a difference locally. We had a vote on a school bond issue a few years ago. It carried, I can't remember, but it was less than 10 votes different in our whole community.
Wow.
That it carried. So,
yeah.
A vote can make a huge difference.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. So I like that. One of the tools is we have voting, and in what we might consider the unimportant or small elections, as well as the big ones, the presidential election, the congressional elections, we tend to think of those as bigger. And, who cares about the city council? Who cares about those are really important. Those are
Absolutely.
very, very important. Whether they're small ones, but they're really important. We can also, Perplexity here, in fact, challenged us to write or call our representative at least once a month. Just once a month. Even just call and let your voice be known. And so that's another tool we have. We can pick up the phone and we can call our representative. And the temptation might be that they say, "Oh man, they get 50,000 calls, every month. They don't want to hear from me." But you know what? Numbers matter.
Yeah.
Numbers
Yeah.
matter.
Numbers matter. Constituencies do matter over time. I had an opportunity to talk to a state legislator that we've had on the podcast before, and I asked this question about how do you all handle kind of these robocalls or these emails that go out in mass, or if I sign up at a particular site and as part of signing up, I authorize emails to be sent to my representatives. And there was a really interesting response. The response wasn't that though the person who signs up doesn't matter, but the response was, listen, when I get emails that are all crafted somewhere else and they come flooding in, I just set up a rule in the email system that dumps them into the trash because that person has not taken the time, or I don't even know if there is a person behind it. Doesn't make sense. I really found that helpful because I reached out, a few times myself, and I thought, well, I could go and find exactly the words that I'm supposed to write in the right order, hitting the right topics, and that way I know I got it covered. But instead, I wrote myself in my own voice and sent it off. I felt better about it because I believe that I have to believe that makes much more of a difference to the person that I sent it to or to the office, whether that person reads it or not, those who are collecting that information for that person.
Yeah.
It says, okay, this is someone that we haven't typically heard from. These are points that we haven't heard stated this way.
Yeah.
To me, I would say use a genuine approach to reaching out to the people who represent you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. And I think it's also important to point out that not everybody's going to be a protester. Not everybody has to be a protester. Not everybody's going to be an activist. And not everybody has to be an activist. But we need to find a way to connect and communicate to people that are in leadership roles in our country, in our state, in our county, and in our cities, and use those, and engage with them. I mean, there are at every level there are tools that are made available to us. Let's use them. We got to. So, what are you thinking, Lamar?
Well, this has been an interesting exercise. We've talked about doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And we found a kind of a script that we could kind of play with that helped us kind of go down the road of what's important to us and things that we, as we said before in this earlier, these are things that we have talked about at some levels, but being able to pull them together today, I hope it's been helpful to people, to encourage people, to first of all, don't give up, to take care of yourself. Secondly, do something in your area that you have impact on. Third is keep in contact with people, be in relationship. Relationships are so valuable, and to us personally, but also in making a difference in our world.
Mhm.
And then finally, realize that you're not powerless.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of a democracy.
Yep.
You're not powerless.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Good stuff. And
Yeah.
it was a fun conversation and it made me think about not only what am I doing, but what can I do more of? And I'm going to have to sit with that a little bit and try and think about that. But I'm hoping a lot of people will sit with that thought, that are listening in or watching this, that, what are we doing? What can we do more of? And especially if what we're doing is working well, we need to do more of that. Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Lamar, what's happening the rest of your week, man?
Well, Jake is telling me that he needs to go outside.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll take about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. But no, I have several. It's a busy rest of the week, to be honest with you. The whole photography thing right now is playing big in my schedule. I've got some projects I have to get completed, and which I enjoy. It usually isn't this pressurized, but got to get that done. And then I'm looking forward to hanging out with some friends this weekend. How about you?
Well, I've got a couple of podcasts I need to edit. This one and the one we recorded before, and get that ready for later. The other one has to be ready for in a couple weeks here. We have just both felt incredibly busy this week, and we'll probably have a pretty relaxing weekend. Actually, there is a possibility that we are meeting some folks for lunch on Friday. We're still waiting to find out if that develops, but otherwise, we're going to be probably getting ready for the Super Bowl.
This is schedule-wise, for those who are listening, this is Super Bowl weekend coming up.
It is, and not that we do that much with the Super Bowl. We're probably more interested in the halftime show this year than we are the game.
Yeah, I'm curious. I've never heard this guy perform before, but hey, he got an Emmy this week.
He did.
Yeah.
A record-breaking Emmy, the first all Spanish language album to win Album of the Year.
Yeah, and with a name like Bad Bunny. That's right, Bad Bunny, right? I've never heard the person, but I'm just really curious.
Yeah, his real name is Benito, but
Benito. Okay.
and you know what? You know what I love about this is that there is an alternative halftime show that's being done. That is all American.
Yeah, it's being touted as there will be no language other than English being spoken from the stage.
Yeah, it's all American.
I'm sorry.
Because apparently Puerto Rico is not American.
Yeah, right.
It is a territory, folks. Remember your geography, remember your civics, we have states and we have territories. And so and just remember we were all territories at once.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
Iowa was territory, Kansas. Yeah.
And remember that language, there's a variety of languages spoken all across the U.S. And English is primary, obviously, but on the other side, there's some beautiful languages spoken that...
That's right.
That's who we are.
That's right. And I have to tell you that I love Latin music, and I love to listen to it while I'm working. Do you know why? Because my Spanish is so poor, I don't know what they're saying, but the music is great. I just love the beat. It's great. It's great music. So, all right. Well, I suppose we should wind this thing down.
Well, this has been a good conversation, and we want to encourage people to not give up and find ways to engage. All right.
Hey, Lamar, have a good week. We'll see you soon.
You as well. All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Tom here. Thank you for listening to Getting to Third Space with Lamar and Tom. Remember to click on subscribe to get notices about new episodes, and be sure to like and share the podcast as well. Opinions and ideas expressed in this podcast are solely those of Lamar Roth and Tom Klaus, and we'd like to hear your opinions and ideas too. You can leave us a voice message on Spotify, or you can email us at the addresses found in the show notes. Also, in the show notes, you can find links to some of the things we talked about today,
so you can check them out yourself. Until next time, keep moving forward toward third space.
This podcast was reviewed and approved by Jake and Ebby Dogs Incorporated.